Hello everybody, welcome to another video on my attempt to rise to 2400. In this video I will actually be attempting to finally reach the goal of 2400. Only my Blitz rating is left to get to that rating. My other two ratings have been achieved. I'm about 2403 or something like that on average. Both ratings just over 2400. And I'm only a few points away, just about 18 points away. My favourite time control at the moment is 7+1, just because it gives me that buffer of an extra couple of minutes. And it's the longest time I can, apart from 5+4, it's the longest time limit you can have without it going into rapid play or classical rating. Anything under about 3 minutes is a bullet game, which I just can't do. Okay, queen takes bishop looks pretty good. I don't want to double my pawns. Downside is that e4 can be used for their knight. Bishop g5. I might lose the bishop pair, to be honest, but it's not too bad. Yeah, let's just take it. Knight takes, I assume. Yeah, knight d2. I'm trying to stop knight e4. Maybe I should have done knight d2 before bishop g5. But I didn't want to allow my opponent to dictate the action. Alright, trade queens. I assume rook takes, yeah. e3, defend everything. Now, I'm thinking that if I win this game, I'll gain like 3 or 4 points. Rating points, and I can maybe just rematch my opponent. That would be ideal. Play him, say, 3 or 4 times and then get the rating 2400. Alright, let's see. So push on the queen side in this English opening style. I'm still controlling e4 with my pieces, so that's a plus. And I'm thinking maybe like rook a c1 with a potential push to c5 is the plan. Maybe the best option for me. Generally queenside play is what I need, and the rook on the a file can't really stay on the a file and be very useful. And the b file is not available because of their bishop. So yeah, rook a c1 looks quite good, or actually maybe knight f3 to d4 to c6. Force their rook somewhere. Rook e8, yeah, then knight d4. d7, absolutely. Now, is b5 any good? That's the key question. I have a feeling it is good. Yeah, and then knight c6, just a very, very nice square for my knight. Takes, bishop takes. So my bishop is dominating their knight, it's controlling lots and lots of squares. Rook d4 looks okay here. And perhaps I can swing the rook across at some point. Or even push the a pawn up. a4, a5. With my bishop dominating the knight and my space advantage, I'm feeling like I'm a bit better in this position. Right, knight d7. Critical moment. Do I take the knight? I'm going off the fact that bishops are usually better than knights in the endings. Therefore I should keep the bishop on as long as I possibly can, despite the fact their knight will be useful on c5. Use the a file. Maybe rook to a8 would be a useful move. Clearly they'll defend everything. Not sure where to go next. Again, try and pressure would be my main sort of focus here. So I'm pushing them back. Don't really have a full plan of how to improve my position, which is often quite dangerous if you don't know how to improve. But what I'm planning to do is get the king maybe to f3. Right, knight d3. Let's not lose the exchange. e5, going for the bishop. Bishop d5 maybe? Yeah, bishop d5 looks okay at least. Prevents knight f3 check. To be fair, most bishop moves did that, but this is a safety option. Perhaps I should move the d4 rook to d2, then to a2, and have the a file for my rooks. And king g2 is quite a nice safety option. The reason I played bishop d5 is so that it guards c4. Yeah, knight d7. Okay, let's just swing the rook to d2. Knight c5, yeah, and rook a2. Okay, so I can go rook a8 at any time. Knight to e4, interesting. Do I take the knight? I don't think I do. Oh, actually, rook a8. If king c8 trade, then rook a8 mate. So rook takes, king d7, bishop c6, king e6, bishop takes knight. And I will win a piece. Yeah. There you go, good. And the knight's gone, now I should win the piece. Okay, and just don't lose the piece back, that would be a little embarrassing. Okay, tries to trade. Rook c5 is clearly what they'll do. No, rook f5, okay. Okay, rook e4. Try to go rook f4. Okay, rematch. How many points did I gain? Again 3. Might be a long video at this rate. Alright, I've been a fan of the Dutch recently. Let's try out my Dutch ideas again. But I'm not going to go pawn g6 like I did in the 4NCL match, which is, I believe, the previous video here. I'm going to play e6 because g6 led me into lots of trouble after h4. So I'll play a more sort of classical line. And I never know whether I can play b6 here or not. Again, I'll play it simple with bishop e7. Quick castling. Might do something similar. So my plan now is to play d6. They'll develop. Then knight d7 is normally okay, but then knight g5 is a bit annoying for me. So bishop d7, they move their knight anyway, and b7's attacked. Oh, I should know more theory than this. Alright, let's prevent all the tactics with knight to e4. Oh, queen c2, yeah. That's a good move. d5 would take me into a kind of terrible version of a stone wall. Let's capture. I assume queen takes. Then bishop f6. So the reason I traded the pieces was partly to avoid lots of tactics, but also it gave a bit more space for me, because I do have a space, a lack of space, essentially. b4 looks very, very strange. Okay, let's try this. See, it's probably rubbish, but c5 is looking interesting. You know, they've opened up the line to their rook and their queen. So maybe I can use this pin. Again, it's probably rubbish, it probably doesn't do a lot. But adding a bit of pressure to them can't be a bad thing. Knight c6 is going to come in. How do they play this? Rook d1 maybe is the best option? No, bishop b2, okay. So I don't really want to trade pawns yet on d4. I want to kind of leave them hanging for a bit. Try to maximise pressure. Alright, rook d1. I think I can get away with rook c8, trying to line up my rook with their queen. can often be a useful tempo gainer or some sort of pressurizing move. Okay, now I do need to capture the pawn, otherwise things will start to get bad. Play it like a Queen's Indian with knight to a5, because they've got the hanging pawns on d4 and c4, so if I can get one of them off the board, or if I can trade something, or even if I can just get a sort of solid position like this. This is probably rubbish what I'm doing, but you know, it just looks like a good safety move. It just gets lots of pieces off the board. Queen b4, I didn't look at that move. Yeah, very nice. Okay, queen c7, I don't want to lose the queen. Bishop takes, yeah. Pawn takes doesn't look right. I think I have to do knight takes. Queen d6, yes, okay. Queen takes queen, I don't like them taking with their pawn. Knight takes e5 doesn't work, so they just do bishop takes. Rook fd8 loses the pawn. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll go queen f7 to not trade queens, and then rook fd8 nearly traps it. Even though bishops are usually stronger than knights are, here I've got all the targets. Their bishop isn't really aiming at anything. There's no area for it to attack. Yeah, and f4 is a sort of good safety move. So now rook fd8 I think is okay. They can't take me a bunch of times because I have my knight guarding it. So queen a3 safety move. Alright, now I'm going to waste a bit of time but bring the queen back to c7. So the king side is not somewhere that I can really attack. I guess I could have gone g5 trying to go g4 and then h5, h4, h3 or something, but it looks like it's going to be a closed up position. Ooh, a nice move. So rook takes, pawn takes is good. Alright, it's deja vu. Knight to a5. Again. Trying to win a pawn. So the one weakness they have is their slightly weak A and C pawns. That's why I've been sort of okay in this position. Now, if rook takes e6, I'm liking my sort of good pieces here. I've got stuff like rook to d2, knight takes c4. Later on, I even have things like queen c5 check. Yeah, rook f to d1. Rook a d1, sorry. Okay, so knight takes c4 is the critical line. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, queen takes. And if knight takes c4, rook c1, knight takes queen, rook takes queen. Okay, that's slightly awkward. Oh, actually, I have queen takes rook after rook c1, so I think I'm okay. So I'm pre-moving the most obvious move, rook takes rook. It's not totally clear about this position, but I'm trusting the fact that my knight is probably stronger than their bishop right now. Again, their bishop has no targets. It's a bad bishop. In theory, it's meant to be able to match my knight in a vacuum. Ooh, can I take? Okay, no idea if I can, but I think taking is okay. Pawn takes, I take the queen. So if queen takes, I just take back. Pawn takes. Rook c2 maybe, just to sort of improve the piece. Bishop e5 is their key move. Takes. Yeah, rook c1, that's quite a nice move. Okay, rook d7. I want to stop them ever playing like d7 and then like rook c8. So I'm blockading the pawn. I think if rook c7 I can trade, play rook c2 to hit the pawn from behind, then push my A and B pawns up. So I should be winning here. Just have to watch out for some simple tactics, and I should be fine. It's like rook c8, king f7, rook h8, and if say h6 is played, rook h7, king g6, rook takes g7, rook takes, bishop takes, king takes, d7, rook d2, and I'm fine. So they played h4. Can I push the a pawn maybe, just to put some distance between the pawn and the promotion square? It looks like I'm making headway here. Oh, they resigned, okay. Alright, so I gained a few points. I'm now 23.89. Very, very close. And they've done the Caro-Kann. Alright, I'm going to do the opening that I don't think I've done before. The hillbilly variation, I believe it's called. Now this move is not exactly recommended by any strong players. The hillbilly is just a bit of fun. Essentially, what happens is that you try to target everything on f7 sooner or later. So queen h5 is quite an interesting move sometimes. What I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to try castling and then playing... Ooh. Bishop g4, can't I take on f7? Yeah, let's go for it, take on f7. Knight to e5 is coming. There we go, it's quite nice. So I essentially just won back the pawn for absolutely no disadvantage. Okay, they didn't take my knight. Interesting. Alright, well castles is probably correct now. Yeah, so yeah, normally the hillbilly variation, it goes into systems a bit like the Black Mardima gambit after d4, d5, e4 takes, f3, knight takes. So it's similar to those lines, except black's played c6, which is a kind of passive looking move, while white's got the bishop developed. So the hillbilly attack is not as silly as it looks. However, at high levels of play, it's not exactly sound. Right now, though, I seem to be enjoying a comfortable advantage. I say that because black hasn't really developed their bishop or their central pawns, or their king. I've got slightly better coordination. Rook d8's been played. Interesting. Queen f3, maybe? No, queen f3 would lose the pawn. Bishop g5 looks interesting. Doing a kind of poisoned pawn. If they take on b2, I was looking at queen f3 here. Queen a5's been played. Alright, so they're going for the bishop. So is bishop takes okay? That's the key point. Or knight takes even. Yeah, knight takes is more fun. Because this might allow queen to h5 soon. Which way do I go? I think I go bishop takes. I was looking at rook takes for a moment. Now e takes is the kind of principled looking move because it does release their bishop from captivity. Problem is, it just opens up their king so much. I can play queen e2 check, rook a e1 coming up, rook e1 check as well. Queen g4 is quite nice. Got a ton of moves. Yeah, I actually quite like queen g4 to go rook a to e1 if they take with the e pawn. If they take with the g pawn, that's another issue. Queen h5 would not be playable because of their queen on a5. That would be a disaster. They have taken with the g-pawn. Interesting. Right, so queen g4 is still a possibility, though. Yeah, I think I'll go queen g4. Oh, but then they have queen g5. Yeah, no good, no good. Right, what about queen e2? I don't like allowing the d-pawn to drop, so I'm going to go knight to e4. What this will do is it will let me play c3 at some point. Also, things like knight takes f6, blasting through might be an idea. It also showcases the dominance of my knight over their bishop, which appears to be a theme in these games in this video. My opponent's not a bad player, though. They're a candidate master. I need to treat them with some sort of respect. King d7, wow, okay. Alright, knight c5. Check. King c8, I would assume. And queen g4 check. Maybe I don't have enough here. King b8. Maybe, yeah, maybe there's not enough. Thought that my pieces would start to, be useful. Alright, well I've got a little trick with b4. Can you see what's going to happen if queen takes b4? Well, let's see if they take it. If they don't, I'll explain. Because I'm not going to do analysis mode. I'm going to keep trying to rematch until I get to 2400. I do have a tactic, though. It's not a trick question. It's not a miscalculation, at least. I hope not. May not even win that much, but it looks, it looks decisive. Okay, so the tactic was knight to a6 check, forking king and queen. When they take with a pawn, I have rook to b1, which would pin their queen to the king. So what would end up happening is they'd have to sack their queen for the rook. So I'd have lost a nicer pawn and a rook, which is 9 points, for a queen, which would be 9 points. But their pawns would all be doubled up, their king would be open, and I think I'd be in a winning position. Alright, knight d7, rook takes... Yeah, come on, this must work. Knight d7 just looks too good. They don't take the knight, they're just totally lost. They have to take the knight, lose the exchange. And maybe they are sort of slowly slithering out with bishop to h6 at the end of all this. But being the exchange up must be advantageous. It must give me a bigger advantage than I had a move or two ago. So yeah, bishop h6. I don't know, maybe I just play c3 or something to solidify all the pieces. Yeah, c3 looks like a very solid move. Now, rook d8 is playable, but I'll take the pawn. I mean, if they do something like queen c7, perfect, I'll trade. Queen d8, same thing. e5 is potentially a move. Then I can do rook takes f6, I think. Oh, queen b5. Okay, what's that? What's that in aid of? Don't really understand. Yeah, I don't understand this move. I'll take. Alright, so they're threatening some sort of mating pattern, that's obvious. Alright, throw in a check, see where they're gonna go to. King to a8, yeah, alright. Can I do rook to a to e1? Probably. Hopefully. Now, queen g5 is obvious as a move. I highly doubt they'll do this, but if they do, I'm prepared. They resigned, okay. See, I gained 3 points. I'm getting closer and closer and closer to that rating. E6. I'm not going to do a Dutch this time. I will do... Oh, alright, I'll do a French then. I was going to do a kind of Benoni type system with c5, but if you do it in e4, it goes into the Franco Sicilian, which I don't really like. Alright, so now this line is obviously not very aggressive. It's not really a a clear way to try and win this match. But what I'm trying to do with this is I'm not trying to do the traditional sort of drawing option. All I'm trying to achieve is a level position out of the opening as black. I'm perfectly happy to get a level position. Now I think I can take it any time, really, can't I? So just to make things easy for me, let's trade everything. Right. So this is the kind of characteristic of the Fort Knox. The idea behind all this is that black is level pretty much out of the opening. Black castles, they have no problems with their pieces. The only thing that is the matter is that black doesn't really have very good chances to win in normal games. This is not a normal game. This is a blitz game. Mistakes can often happen. My structure is extremely compact. So yet again, this kind of guards against easy blunders. Once I've got a simple setup, I can create my plan, which is essentially to block everything up. Put a knight on d5, bishop on f6, usually, sometimes on d6. In fact, which one do I want? I think I might want it on d6 to trade more pieces. Bishop h4 is interesting. Oh, bishop e5, yeah, nice move. So it kind of forces me to do the trading. Yeah, why not? Let's trade. If pawn to... Oh no, the knight takes. Okay, I thought they might do that, but pawn takes was definitely an option. a4 is interesting. Queen g5 is interesting, actually. That's quite a nice move. I'm going to go a4. The reason is that if white goes a4, that really kind of cuts out all my pawn breaks. It doesn't really let me do much. So this is kind of a guarding against white gaining loads of space on the queen side. Now, queen to g5 or queen b6. Where do I put the queen? Queen b6 wouldn't be so good because of knight d7, so I can eliminate that move. Queen c7... No, I'm going to go queen g5. I don't really want white getting a kingside attack by sort of bringing their queen to g4 and then pressurizing. So this move is essentially, again, it's kind of a safety move. Queen f3, yeah, perfectly reasonable move. b5 maybe? Oh no, I lose the pawn. Terrible. f6, never play f6. Rook a d8 might be good. Yeah, rook a d8. Just keep it simple here. Stops knight d7 in the future. Ooh, no, going straight for me. Okay, so it's time for me to trade queens. I don't want the queens on the board anymore. I mean, queen e2 is a move. And either knight f4, they have played queen e2, knight f4, knight f6, ooh, or c5. Yeah, c5 is quite nice. So the idea is that if pawn takes, I actually have a tactic. Can you see my tactic after pawn takes? Well, I mean, I'm hoping I'm not wrong about this. I think I have knight takes c3. The reason is that if they take with their pawn, I take their rook on d1 check, queen takes, then queen takes e4. I could actually also do queen takes e4 straight away, queen takes and rook d1 mate. I don't know which one's stronger, but they're both pretty good. Okay, they haven't fallen for it, that's annoying. Alright, rook h, yeah, good move. Alright, so if I take the pawn, they take with their rook straight back. Knight f4. I don't know, queen somewhere. No, I don't really have much. So knight f4 looks good, but now let's just take. It's a little bit, kind of maybe a bit premature. But the reason I'm doing this is to try and, again, sort of prevent white's kingside attack. If they take with their h-rook, that will take away their kingside attack. They'll have a bit better control of the centre. But I can always play knight f4 and then like rook d5. And that will, give me a roughly equal position. So knight f4. If rook takes rook, I take the queen. Can't be good. So queen d2 is certainly a move. If queen d2, okay, queen e3, yeah, naturally. Queen d2, I think I might have been able to take the rook. After pawn takes, there's like rook d8, and I think I'm a bit better. So with queen e3, rook takes rook, rook takes, queen b1. Okay, let's try and create the trap. See if they fall into it. Pawn takes is the obvious move. Queen takes, okay, thank you, check. And will they do another rematch? They might not do. Yeah, it appears that they've given up. But my rating is so close. I can't end the video here. I have to try to get another game. So close to 2400. 2395. So close. I reckon if I can beat somebody who is 2300 or higher, that will get me there. It's not an easy task to beat somebody that good. Those games weren't exactly simple. Oh, it was a 3+2 is just too quick for me. I can't do 3+2. If it was like 5+2, I'd play the game. And 2255 might even be a little bit too low rated for me to win in one game, getting to the lofty goal of 2400. Oh, I've been working towards this for a while now, and especially in Blitz, I can't record every single game that I play in Blitz, otherwise there'd be hundreds of videos. What often happens is I gain, say, 10-15 points. I lose one game, and that then gets me to lose sort of 12-13. So I might only gain 1 or 2 points in about 5 games. So I have played, I can't remember the total number, but it's around 300 games in Blitz. I got to 2200 fairly easily, but it's just this last 100 or 2 points. It's a real sort of slog to get to 2400. Who am I playing? I'm playing a 2100, alright. Okay, well if I can rematch them after the game. Okay, 2 games I could do it. So let's see if I can get there. Bishop b7 is obviously going to be done. And e4 is the move I play. So e5 is the... Oh, they're doing a kind of hippo. Alright, well, d4, I won't deny them. They want to do a hippo, do a hippo. The key point with the hippopotamus opening is when you're playing against it, in this scenario it was white, I think what a lot of players make the mistake of doing is only moving the e and d pawns and then playing knight c3, knight f3. But actually you need the 4 pawns to sort of overly protect the centre. So now it's much easier for me to push e5 and d5. So if I push e5, knight d7 is a possibility. And I may have overextended, so I'm just going to play it carefully with bishop d3. They'll probably castle, then I'll castle. Yeah, castles, just play slow, it's not a race to see who's going to push. Now they could push e5 here, but they haven't, they've pushed e6. So normally one side will do a big pawn break. So e5 now feels like the right time, because I can't really improve the c1 bishop. e3 isn't that much better than it is on c1. So push knight d7. Again, let's simple improvements, queen e2. I'm planning on having one rook on f1, one on e2, and maybe my other rook that's on a1 on d1, so it's lined up with their queen. Now, the thing is that if I hadn't moved my c and f pawns, black could have played d5, completely closing in the centre. But if they play d5 now, I can take with the c pawn. Queen e7. What now? d5 is a move. Feels like I'm overextending just a little bit here. So bishop to d2. Again, just trying to connect the rooks. I'm not too upset if they do pawn takes, because I can take with the f-pawn, improving my central control. f5 is a challenging move. I'll have to decide whether to take en passant or not. Probably not. a6 though, definitely gives me more time to get my rooks in the perfect places. Rook d1. So I've got my rooks, queen, minor pieces, everything's working well. Again, I don't want to trade too much stuff, so knight to e4. Quickly gain space, put a lot of pressure on my opponents. Knight d6 is coming unless they trade. If bishop takes d6, I think I take with the bishop, just to kind of highlight the attack on their rook. Very interesting match. I think I've got enough here to have an advantage. And what I haven't done, which a lot of players do, is they overextend. They push their pawns too much. I've pushed the pawn to e5 because I felt like it was the right time to do it. But now I can consolidate. Maybe bishop to c3 is correct here. Opening up the d file for my rook. Takes d6 is now a possibility along. Oh no, they've taken with the pawn. I could still take on d6 if I want to, but that feels wrong. Bishop takes or knight takes. I want to do bishop takes. I don't want to give the pawn on e5 a lack of cover. If pawn takes, I'm not sure which way to take. I don't really want to trade off too many pieces. So pawn takes back. Again, solidifying my space advantage, and their knights are kind of stuck. I guess knight c5 would be best. Then bishop c2 looks like a good move. If knight b to d7, trying to get their knights active, b4. No, rook d7. Okay, interesting, trying to get the rook active that way. Yeah, that's a fair point. Alright, b4 though. Knight b7 is essentially a forced move. And I could take on b6, then their queen takes though. So again, I'm just going to play it safe. a3. Nice, simple move. b6 is still under fire. All my pieces are protected very well. Queen d8 has been chosen, so they've used piece play to fight back. Right. Again, my bishop on c2 isn't doing anything, so I may as well pressurize the rook. Rook to e7, then I can play queen f2, attacking b6 again. And I'm not sure about knight d7, it just doesn't look right. Could even just take it, that's the easy way to play. Yeah, I'm really liking my position here. Two bishops roving across the board, attacking the centre and mostly queenside. And my knight on f3 is guarding e5. It can also swing into g5 and then maybe to e4, trying to come to f6 or d6. Again, my rooks are perfect. They're on d and f, which are the two kind of main open files. Got a big space advantage. Their two knights are useless. I've got a queenside majority as well. A safer king, I would expect, despite the lack of an f-pawn. So everything is looking good here. With a win against someone about 200 points lower than me, that's a win giving me about, yeah, like 3 points, I would say. So one rematch, that will get me there. And I'm just checking how long the video has been. I suspect only about half an hour. Oh, 39 minutes, okay. So it will be hopefully under 1 hour for this video, and then it could well be the last one in the series. Because I would have, assuming I win this game and I win one more, I will have completed my target. I'll have got to 2400. and actually a bit sooner than I expected. So what are they planning here? Rook c7, bishop takes, pawn, win. Rook e7 looks like the only move, in my opinion, unless they want to sacrifice with rook takes d4. And the move pawn b5, I think I take it. My majority on the queen side in pawns has exponentially increased. It doesn't really slow me down too much. They're now down to 2 minutes. It's good for me, not so good for them. I've got 5. This will give me constant psychological pressure as well as practical problems for them to solve, as when they're down to about 10 seconds, the increment will be essentially, keeping them treading water. They won't really have any time to analyse their moves. They'll just have to play something instantly, which will work in my favour a great deal. As long as I stay above about 2 minutes, I should win pretty much no matter what, unless I really blunder it. So even in like a rook and pawn ending with rook and 3 versus rook and 3, and they're down to 10 seconds, I've got 2 minutes, I'd probably still win. And they're still analysing this move. I wouldn't have thought you needed to analyse this too much. But it's possible that they've either disconnected and left, which is always something to be aware of, or they really did not see that move coming and they've been blindsided by it. Just didn't want their rook and queen connected like that. Wanted to get the rook off the diagonal. Sorry, not diagonal. Use the diagonal to get the rook off the file, and then use the d4 bishop to do some sort of discovered attack. Bishop c5 is also quite a nice move after rook e7. I had thought about queen f2 straight away, but actually bishop c5 is even stronger. I will lose, some material for the queen, but I think it's worth it. I thought queen f2 was a very safe move, but actually, yeah, bishop c5 is a simple one. And they're down to just a few seconds. I suspect they won't move, and they will run out of time. I'll gain, say, 3 points. Hopefully they will accept one more rematch. Okay. Yeah, 3 points. So now, even if I only gain 2, that will get me to the goal of 2400. Alright, I'll give them, say, another 5 seconds to accept or decline. Then I'll search for a new opponent. Again, I'm so close, but I still need to play somebody who's about, like 2150 or higher. Okay, so close. 2398 now. Yeah, very close to my target of 2400. I don't really want, again, I don't want to end the video before I've made it, because I think for the other 2 ratings, I didn't actually record the session that put me over the top, so I feel like I kind of owe it to actually record the individual game that finally gets me over the milestone of 2400. But it appears that the players on Lichess are not cooperating at the moment, because everyone wants to play a bullet game or a rapid game. No one seems to want to play Blitz. I assume I'll get some customer at some stage. It would be very annoying if I played at 2100, needing just a single win to get me over there, and I lost, and that would lose me about 12 points or so. So I'd be back to almost where I started. So there is that pressure here. Can I do it? Can I beat the pressure, win the game? Because I've been in lots of high pressure situations in tournaments and stuff, but I guess online is very different. over the board you can kind of overcome your kind of feelings when you see the position on the board and you think, actually I'm doing okay here. I thought I'd be losing, but I seem to be holding my own against a strong player. It's happened to me against international masters and stronger players than that. I've thought I'd lose instantly, and then after about 25 moves, I've thought that actually I might even be better in some positions. So the pressure does fade at least a little bit, and then you get the pressure later on of thinking, you know, I'm better. Should I actually try winning, or should I chicken out, take a draw? But that's not for now. That's for over the board play. Right, there's a 1944 who wants a blitz game, but if I beat them, I'm only going to gain 1 point, I think. If they were just a bit higher, like a 2000, I might actually gain 2 points. But I think 1940 is what, 450 points lower than me. So in a FIDE game, that would only gain you like 1.6 if you played them in an over the board match. Oh, there we go. Perfect, 2100. This should be the game. I'm going to do the opening I've very rarely done, e4, e5. They're doing a Vienna, which I do. They're copying me. They're doing the g3 Vienna, yeah, okay. I'll go c6. A slightly unusual move here. The goal is simply to gain a bit of central space. Yeah, d4, and then you can take and you can push forwards. I'm going to take. They take with the queen, then knight c6. Essentially, what's happened is I've got an isolated queen's pawn, and it's an open position, but their queen is attacked. They have to move back. Then I either push d4 or bishop c5. I can never remember which one's better. I'm going to try playing experimental with d4. I think bishop c5 is actually the more common move, but I can't resist, pushing onwards and gaining more space against them. The trouble is this pawn can often become a lot weaker as the game goes on, but for now at least I haven't done anything too anti-positional. I've got kind of when I teach young players how to improve their chess, they call it the bull's head, when you have knights on f6, c6, and the bishops on the 5th rank, c5 and f5, and vice versa for white. So knight f3, knight c3, bishop c4, bishop f4. And the bull's head is complete when you have pawns on e4 and d4 as well. And that's the position that I tell the young players to aim towards. Of course, in a regular game, you never have all those things, because otherwise you're just in a much better position. The only time you would, I guess, is against like a hippopotamus opening or something, where you're meant to be better, but the other side can counterattack. Anyway, I'm going to push d3 fairly soon, so I've got my rook prepared on the d file. They've played a3. It makes absolutely no sense. Time to push. Bishop takes or rook takes. I don't know which one's better. Rook takes looks easier. It will improve my other rook as well. So queen c1 is my... Oh no, queen c1 is not played. Queen a4 is played. So I can take on b2 or not. I'm going to refrain from taking on b2. I don't want to throw away my advantage. So I'm going to double up my rooks. Wow, they played b4. It feels wrong. Okay, I know again, it's a pressure situation, but I can't resist this. Look at this position. Look at my pieces. All of them working together, coordinating so well, attacking their pinned knight. What are we going to do? Knight e to g1? I can always play knight d4 if I want to. Just keep improving my pieces. Everything is working out very well here. Knight f4, knight f4. Bishop takes or rook takes. Bishop takes, rook takes. Bishop takes, rook takes. Bishop takes, because if knight takes rook, I can do bishop d1 check. Again, I am gonna go for broke here. Try and smash them apart. I need to analyse this position a little bit though. Knight d4 check, king g2. Knight e5 check, rook takes, it's safe. Queen c3, king g2. Maybe I just overestimated this, that's a blunder. Oh dear. Oh! Okay, I think I found the move. Wow. I didn't see this. I was a bit lucky there. I shouldn't have sacked the exchange. That was a really silly option. I thought I had way more than I thought, but I actually do have something here. By the way, g5 might be okay, but I think I have a move which, to me, looks really good. Look at this, b5. Look at their queen. If they go to a6, or take the pawn, or b3, or c2, knight d4 check will either fork the queen or do a discovered attack. They are losing their queen. I'd seen knight d4 would be a very good move, and I had thought briefly about trapping their queen at b5, but I hadn't seen the other way around before I played it. So rook takes f3 was kind of a case of tactics, you know, or luck favouring the one with the tactics, essentially. Because how do they survive? Their queen looks like it's about to drop off the board. And I've still got a battle ahead, but you know, it's going to be, you know, queen against two rooks, I suspect, after queen d1 from white. I'll still have to do some work. But I also have g5 at the end, which will attack their pinned knight. Oh dear, so yeah, I shouldn't really have done this whole sacrificing everything. It just looked so good and my pieces seemed to flow so well together. And I've got very fortunate with this tactic. It's not really the way to play, to kind of assume you'll have something, play it out, and then try and find what you have. You should be looking at the position a lot more, but I think it's partly the stress at the moment of being so close to my target made me be very, very rash and get lucky with this find. So either they will spend the next 4 minutes looking at the position, or they'll actually play a move soon. I don't think they have anything. So I'll be very interested to see what the computer says after this game, actually. Okay, queen d1, yeah. Take the queen. Now g5. Okay, rook d5. Still more work to do. Okay, I have to take the knight. No other option. Okay, queen c3, going for a trick. Okay, they didn't fall for it. Knight d4. Okay, I'm sort of playing hopeful chess at the moment. I'm really not in the right place mentally to play this game. I've just got so many options. I've got king e4, king f2. The thing with king e4 is I've got f5 check. That's my goal. Okay, they resigned, and yes, 2400. I made it. Made it to 2400. That's goal complete. Fantastic. Alright, let's have a look at this game for the way to finish this video. It's been 54 minutes, so I will spend only a couple of minutes looking at this. So it's under an hour, ideally. And yeah, I'll have finally made it. So 2398 plus the 2 points winning the game puts me at exactly 2400. And I will... okay, it seems to say I'm way better. I'd actually analysed rook takes... oh, I have queen c2, don't I? I don't know whether I'd found that in the game. Rook takes f5, I was going to do queen takes rook. King takes queen, knight takes f5, I'm a knight up for a pawn. And that's a bit tricky, but I should win. But actually, queen c2 is much easier to play. Oh dear. Okay, I only made one blunder. That's pretty good. I thought I played a lot worse. 27 centre pawn loss average. That's not bad. It's not my best. Normally I perform somewhere between like 20 and 30. Sometimes a bit higher, sometimes a bit lower. It's usually at the high 20s, low 30s actually. Probably on average about 30. Now I think about it. I've had a few games quite recently where I did centre pawn loss average of about 20 or sort of 18, 19 a few times, which felt really cool. Alright, so let's have a look. This is pretty much, all played well by both sides. It's about equal. Bishop c5, f3, castles, castles, all looks absolutely fine. Bishop g5, h6. Yeah, if bishop h4, I go g5 to snap off the bishop. Queen takes. Yeah, rook e1 did feel a bit strange. I wasn't sure why it was wrong. I'm guessing it's because white... It says knight f4 was best. My guess would be that white wants to play knight to d3 as quick as they can. So rook d8. They're not now in time to play a move to stop me playing d3. So now the evaluation has changed to being -1. Rook fd8 is a blunder, apparently. I should do... This is my blunder of the game. I should do queen takes b2 because I'm just grabbing the pawn. Reasonable enough. I just thought that rook a b1 might be annoying, and then rook takes b7 at the end. But I suspect that I'm wrong. So rook fd8 still gave me an advantage though, so I wouldn't say it was a blunder. Might be a bit harsh. b4 and bishop takes f2 is actually correct. So my instinct is right, but for the wrong reasons. I hadn't analysed it, which is really bad. Okay, so bishop takes f3 is actually only -5, and knight f4, puts me in a position where I'm -7.5. So why isn't this an inaccuracy or a blunder? I don't understand. Anyway, bishop takes, rook takes, king takes. Yeah, b5. I think pretty much every other move would actually be losing. So I was very fortunate that I found this move, b5. It kind of felt right to get the king open, but I hadn't looked at it. Rook d1 takes, g5's easy. Rook d5 takes. Yeah, so all my moves are fairly obvious now. Queen c3 is actually one of the best moves. I just did it to try and sort of trick them. I was hoping they'd do something like king, maybe even king f2, and I might have a way to win their d5 rook in some cases. Maybe with like queen b2 or something, and then if king f3, I then have queen b3 check, forking. Anyway, knight d4 is still good, and f5 caused resignation. Fantastic. Alright, so if we go, so to prove I'm not full of it, I go to my profile. This will be the end of the video. Look, Blitz I'm not counting because I can't do bullet games. But look, Blitz now exactly 2400 as you just saw. Rapid 2402, 340 games. And then my classical rating, only 147 games, but 2406, because I've been beating up a bunch of 2100s a lot. So yeah, this will I guess conclude the Road to 2400 series. Managed to make it. Thanks for watching these videos, and I will see you again soon. Bye.